Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So we're on our way to the golf course. I had to make a quick pit stop because my parents are out of town, so I had to go check on their cats for them. But with that being said, we're on our way to the golf course. It's going to be maybe a little bit of a later start this morning than normal. I'm hopefully going to be mowing greens by 6 o'clock, which is just a tad bit later than I normally do, but that is a-okay. So with that being said, I want to cover some of the stuff I did on the golf course the last week in order to kind of help it through now this little bit of dry period we had. But I see we did get a little bit of rain because the roads are a little wet. It couldn't have been a ton of rain here, but we'll start with what I did on last Thursday. So I sprayed greens and tees and fringes on Thursday with some humic, which is some iron basically, T-Nex and Paclo, both growth regulators, chlorothalonil and tebuconazole as well, just for some fungicide, stuff like that, as this summer has been very bad, but I'll touch on that in a little bit. Some liquid fertilizer, 1806 I believe, for those areas, and just some blue dye and some wetting agent on there as well, in order to kind of as this dry season is coming up now, in order to absorb some of that water. So that really worked out good. Friday the greens looked excellent. I rolled the greens on Friday. They were just rolling so smooth, and from what everybody's been telling me, not to toot my own horn, the greens that I have are some of the best greens in the area, just because I've been aggressively rolling them 3 times a week, every Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on what day looks like the best for weather. So I did them on Friday because there was a slight chance of rain yesterday, and there is a chance of rain today. So they are very healthy, very good. I did have some dollar spot early on in the summer because it's been so wet, so humid. And from what I've noticed, if you don't water at night, now I'm watering at night, of course. Tonight's actually the first night, or last night I should say, was the first night I went whole hog 110% water, as much as I could, from 9 o'clock until about 7 o'clock this morning. 18 minutes ahead, and then greens were 15 minutes ahead. So fairways and tees were 18 minutes, and then greens were 15. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the maximum out of the basically 10 hours that I could water. But one thing I've noticed specifically on fairways, and greens for that matter, if I'm not watering at night, all of those areas are starting to get very, 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 very bad dollar spot on them. And I'll show you when I mow greens, when I'm driving over a fairway or whatever, the dollar spot is just so terrible on those areas that there's really nothing I can do. So, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I wasn't watering at night for months because of the rain that we've received. So now it's nice to get back into a routine. I know we've got rain in the forecast, but it's nice to get back in a routine to take some of that dew off in the middle of the night for a lot of those areas, specifically fairways. And I know that my greens, besides the little bout that I was dealing with early in June, later in June, I'm pretty much okay, and that was a week and a half after I did my original spray, or one of my original sprays. So I had to spray about a week and a half after I did my spray for June, which was crazy. I've never had that happen before in my life, where there was dollar spot or whatever that formed just so rapidly after a spray. So we have a 3-wheel biker. So with that being said, now I'm on an every 2-week schedule, every 13 days-ish, somewhere around there, 14 days, depending on how the greens look. Right now, I have some time we have some rain in the forecast. I'm watering at night, so we're getting back to a routine to take some of that dew off so the starches and the sugars don't, start to do whatever they do and form disease, which is good. Where I was going with that was just the dollar spot. I played some different golf courses this year, some really nice golf courses, or I've been on them, and they've had dollar spot attacks. And I'm talking about places where it costs double, triple, quadruple times the price to play my golf course for 18 holes. So I don't feel so bad about my fairway issues, or even some issues on my greens, which are basically null and void now with my spraying every 2 weeks. So every course has been affected because basically with all the rain we've gotten at various times of the day, all of our watering routines, our spraying routines, they've been affected by the rain. We just can't keep a routine up, and that way the grass is not used to any sort of a routine. It's just willy-nilly growing whatever. The growth rate right now, specifically in fairways, is down a lot, even in roughs, but more so in fairways because of disease-laden issues. It really is not growing at all. I have to mow fairways tomorrow, and I mowed them on Friday, but I gave them a 4-day break before I mowed them, and I wasn't taking a lot of grass. I just really wasn't, because of the issues with disease. Excuse me. So I'm curious to see tomorrow how they mow. I'm supposed to have some fertilizer come in tomorrow. Also, with that being said, before I touch on grubs, I did spray fairways and around greens, around tee boxes and tee boxes with some 2DQ. I'm really hoping that it takes hold here shortly. I've had an excessive issue with clover this year and crabgrass, so I haven't quite finished spraying all parts of the course that I wanted to. I was hoping to today if it doesn't rain, but it may rain, so I'm not totally sure if that'll happen. But I did spray with some 2DQ. It seems in some spots to be taking hold. I just want to get the crabgrass off the fairways. I want to get that damn clover off of my fringes and tee boxes. They're not bad, but they're enough to make me notice it and essentially put an end to it. So I'm hoping that takes hold here shortly. It really should. It had a few days to dry before we got this little bit of rain here. It was a little bit of a timely process, but I did get a new Fimco 25-gallon sprayer, which should probably do the job there. And I was actually spraying fairways with it too. I tried to calibrate it to going about 12 miles an hour behind a golf cart, so I did have to up the dosage of 2DQ that I was putting down. So that was settled. We did that on Friday, or we did that on Thursday, my bad. And now hopefully I can follow it up here today or tomorrow. So with that being said, I also ordered some fertilizer here, basically Merit again. I forgot if it's 2006 for fertilizer. I can't remember. But it does have pesticide in it. Similar to what I put down at the beginning of the year, I've just got an influx of Asian beetles this year. I mean influx. Last year was bad. This year was worse. And I can't have the issues I had last year with my fairways being depleted. Some areas of my fairways being depleted because these grubs would just eat the roots. I would have no root structure. I could go take my fingers together, pull out a area of grass that was about the size of my palm because the root structure was so bad. And last year was historically dry, so I had an issue where I could pour as much water on the golf course as I physically could night and day, and it would be dry because there was no root structure, and that water would all essentially just soak right into the earth because it was so dry. I can't have that happen again. So as soon as I get this fertilizer, hopefully tomorrow, I can put it down. Excuse me again. I could put it down Oh, I'm so tired. This time of the year right now, late July, is complete burnout time for us in the golf industry. We'll mind that later. So I'm hoping tomorrow after men's league, I can put this down on some of the fairways and, be done with it. That would be awesome. If I can't do it tomorrow night because I've got irrigation going, I may skip irrigation for a night depending if we get rain tonight or tomorrow. Then I will put it down on Thursday because I'm actually gone Tuesday and Wednesday, which is a godsend for me to actually have some time to sleep in. So with that being said, we've got FERT coming here. I'm really hoping to get it out and kill those Asian beetles and the grubs that they are laying. It is terrible, just awful. So that's another issue I'm dealing with. Right now, this is hell on earth time for golf course. You've got disease, you've got grubs, you've got dry weather. It's all attacking you at once. So you basically have to try to shield the golf course with your left hand, and then you have to please the customers with your right hand. So it's quite a frustrating time of year for the golf course superintendent, let alone the owner, as I'm the owner too and superintendent. So you have to please your guests on the one hand, and on the second hand, you have to make sure your golf course is running at full capacity. So I've got my irrigation, I've got one head I have to dig up as well, and get that figured out on a green because it's just essentially not turning. So I got to get that done, and hopefully we can get that tackled today or tomorrow. Thank God we got some rain in the forecast. That's a nice thing. Oh, so we're going to get to it here. We're going to hit the golf course and start mowing, and we will rejoin with you then. Alright, so here's what I mean by saying there's a lot of dollar spot disease in the fairways, just very bad areas. So with all this dollar spot and issues with the fairways, I'm hoping that when I fertilize here, I'll get that issue resolved. I'm thinking once I fertilize this week, this will grow out in another week to two. So hopefully in 3 weeks' time, I'll have this resolved. I have a large tournament on August 3rd, so that's what I'm hoping I'll have this resolved. And if you hop off here, if you look here, you can kind of see there is some dew already forming. Well, there was some dew forming on this, and of course now it's a little windier out, so it's all just coming off. But yeah, this has been a large issue this year, and honestly it's gone down with the last few days of irrigating the fairways. Thankfully this has gone down. Otherwise it was even worse than this on a lot of fairways. And I did spray, I believe, half of this fairway here, and then the other half I did not get. But you can see here some of these weeds are just starting to brown over and die, and that's the case for a lot of the fairways here. But we'll head up to a green here and kind of give a little bit of a deeper explanation. So here's a green right here, and actually just judging by, and usually 2DQ takes about 5 to 7 days to fully enact, but you could tell here that, especially right on this crabgrass plant here, that the 2DQ that I sprayed is taking hold and starting to kill the actual blade of the leaf itself. And that goes for a lot of the 2DQ, or a lot of the crabgrass that I sprayed with 2DQ along the greens, which is good. I was very nervous. I haven't actually sprayed for weeds here, sprayed any herbicide here recently. You can tell these weeds here are starting to wither and wilt, which is good, which is what you want. But I haven't sprayed for weeds here in a couple years. So I was quite nervous, to tell you the honest truth, because I didn't want any of the overspray or any of the drift to get on the green spraying that close. And then I didn't want to waste my time either by not having, enough mixture, essentially, enough of a cocktail mixture or enough of a dosage of the 2DQ, and then the speed, everything like that. So we'll see in another about 5 days here to see what worked and what didn't. You know, some of this clover by the green, I just didn't feel comfortable spraying because I didn't want any overspray to get on the greens and essentially kill the bent grass or the POA. That wouldn't be good. So as we're looking at the greens here, they look exceptionally healthy. They look exceptionally low cut. I'm mowing right now at about 0.128 to 0.130 right now, and the growth regulator that I've been putting down has been slowly counteracting the POA annua here, and essentially allowing that bent grass to grow freely and kind of take down this POA compared to what it was here at the beginning of the season. This green just looks exceptional. My mower is cutting perfect right now, and a lot of that POA here, as you can see, the seed heads are not seeding any higher than the bent grass, and it's essentially being taken over by the bent grass, which is what you want. I'm putting down growth regulator now every 2 weeks. And surprisingly here, this green didn't get hit by any sort of dollar spot. This is actually one of the worst greens to be hit by dollar spot, but this really didn't get hit by any dollar spot. I'm trying to look for any sort of spots here, and I just don't see any, which is good. And I can't remember seeing any either. So my spraying was good for that. Just some ball marker spots, and people don't replace their ball marks. That'll never change. Here's maybe a little spot of dollar spot right there, just a little bit, but if that's it, if this is it, then I'm doing pretty dang good. So I'm pretty happy about that. But you could see the fairway here, how it was just decimated with dollar spot, which really sucks. So I'm glad I did spray though on Thursday. It'll be about a week ago since the video came out, but you can see just the drastic line here of spray to not spray. You can see that line of how good the product actually protects and works against dollar spot. Look at the difference here. This is like it's night and day, black and white, gray and red. It's crazy. This is like taking a paint job on a car and detailing it and not detailing it. This is craziness. So I'm hoping when I put down this fertilizer here, I mean, this is awful. It's embarrassing, but again, what are you gonna do? Really, what are you gonna do? I don't have the funds right now to go out, or the time to go out and spray these fairways here. I just don't. And it's not like I could take that little sprayer with the golf cart when I was doing to kill the weeds to counteract this here. No, I would have to go out with my big sprayer, and I just don't think it could handle that. So you can see there's actually a little bit of a dry spot here. Disease, that's a little bit of disease. There's just so many different diseases out here right now. It's crazy. But hopefully when I put down the fertilizer here, pair it with some rain or some irrigation, this stuff will start to grow back. Because even when I'm mowing fairways right now, I'm only having to mow 2 days a week because it's just not growing. But you can see here what I did. I hope I used a high enough dosage. I used 1 ounce per 1,000 when spraying for crabgrass and any other sort of weed here. So I'm hoping, I mean, that should be the high enough dosage. I'm just hoping I drove slow enough here and did it the correct way, so these won't just wilt and come back slowly. They will wilt and they will die. So all right, guys, well, that honestly is probably going to do it for me here. That was a long enough update for you guys to watch here. If you have any questions or comments, just lay them out in the comments section. We will see you on the next one.